as Jack was mentioning throughout the show, it's really part two of that hope. Last Friday, when Trump met with Putin, that was really the first step in the right direction with all of this. But as we've been discussing throughout the show, I mean, it just seems like the two sides really are hesitant to give up what they want. On the Russian side, being that Donbass region, that land that 88% of it is already controlled by Russia 3 years into this war. And on the other side, Zelensky wants those security guarantees, but what does that mean? So I think that's what he's talking with the president about as we speak. They will be meeting with those other European leaders, as we've been reporting on as well. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni included in that group. We know that Zelensky talked with them earlier in the day, had a private side conversation before all going in on a unified front to talk with President Trump today. So that is something that I'm going to be keeping a really close eye on, because I think that's going to give us some cues as to where the negotiations really do stand.
Yeah, and there's no deal till there's a deal, right? That's what President Trump has said. Vladimir Putin probably raised his issues and what he wants. Vladimir Zelensky will do the same. But remember, as Marco Rubio said, not everyone is going to get everything they want. That is why we have something called compromise. And that's something that just has to happen in this path to peace. And Donald Trump has worked tirelessly. Jack Posobiec gave that anecdote of what happened on Air Force One, working tirelessly to speak to European leaders, as he will do shortly. I do want to talk also, Emily, about the lack of popularity of this war. There's an attitude that has changed in terms of what the Ukrainians feel they should do, and putting their trust in their fearless leader, Vladimir Zelensky. So let's go to a shot right now we have from CNN that talks about polling that has changed from 2022 up until now.
There have been some absolutely major shifts. The idea that Ukraine's going to achieve complete victory, that idea has collapsed within Ukrainian society. What are we talking about here? Ukrainians on the war versus Russia. You go back to 2022, the start of the war. Fight until Ukraine wins. Look at this. The vast majority, about 3/4, 73% agreed with that position. Negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, only 22%. Look at where we are now. It's a complete flip. It's the inverse. Now 69% want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, compared to just 24% who want to fight until Ukraine wins. That's a 49-point drop in this
Emily,
position.
the results speak for themselves. That is an entire flippage between 2022 and now, in terms of the mentality towards this war and whether they want it to end or whether they should agree to peace.
Absolutely. And let's think about the mindset behind that, Bo. I mean, the Ukrainian people at the very beginning, it was so unfair. They didn't want their region to be invaded by the Russians. They had a lot of fight in them to not want to accept any kind of negotiations, not accept any kind of a deal. But 3 years later, the Russians are still holding out. And it feels like that probably is a huge inspiration behind those that flippage in statistics that you see on your screen here. It is not a popular war. There are a lot of people, obviously, from Europe as well, over at the White House today that want to assist in getting this war ended. But the United States they're really coming to the table and trying to get both sides together. President Trump talking about how he's going to call President Putin after all of these meetings today and, kind of fill him in and get an update on where negotiations stand from the Russian side. And Trump, when he was meeting with Zelensky earlier, said that a trilateral meeting and getting that scheduled is the goal after all of these meetings today. So I think that would be the next step looking forward, Bo.
That would be the goal. And we've got a lot of peace deals that Trump has brokered. Trump is the great peacemaker. We've got Armenia and Azerbaijan, Rwanda and the Congo, India and Pakistan, Cambodia, Thailand, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Israel and Hamas. These are major peace deals that he's brokered. I would like to bring in Steve Gruber, the great Steve Gruber, the encyclopedia, the human encyclopedia Steve Gruber, who knows so much about the tireless work that Donald Trump has done. Steve, I would like to ask you about the effect of the European leaders that are there today. What effect are they going to have? Are they a buttress? Are they chaperones? Oh, we don't have Steve. Okay, well, we'll go back to Emily then. Are these, Steve Bannon called them the chaperones, basically, of this agreement. Sure. A lot of these are NATO countries, okay? So how do you do a deal that's NATO-like in nature, but that does not involve NATO? I think that's a fascinating component to this particular negotiation.
Bo, I think you are absolutely spot on. I mean, this is going to be some pretty challenging conversations for everyone to have today. Everyone wants to make sure that both sides are getting something out of this deal, but it's just going to be extraordinarily difficult. President Trump really hesitated earlier to say, didn't say that there was going to be necessarily U.S. boots on the ground, but a potential partnership with some of those other countries that are present at the meeting today. So going to be keeping a very, very close eye on that. Maybe weapons that he will be assisting, sending over as well. So like I said, Bo, got a lot of very high-level conversations happening today at the White House.
And let's mention those leaders again who are there. It's Ursula von der Leyen of the EU. You have NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Keir Starmer of the UK, Emmanuel Macron of France, Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Friedrich Merz of Germany, and Alexander Stubb of Finland. I do believe we have Steve Gruber back. Steve, I called you an encyclopedia, and you weren't even there for me when I needed you most. But let's talk about these leaders that are there. What effects, Steve, do they have on this negotiation?
Well, it's like having camp counselors there, I think. You know, you've got the little kid at camp, and they've got the counselors there circling him to make sure he doesn't do something wrong, like set the barracks on fire or whatever. That's kind of what he did the last time he was in the Oval Office. I think that's a concern. Yep. You know, I want to go back to you were doing the CNN polling there a moment ago. Mm-hmm. And to me, you know, the Ukrainians were all for fight till the end a couple of years ago. Now they're like, you know what, let's just be done with this. We'll negotiate our way out of it. It reminds me of Mike Tyson. You like sports analogies. Yeah. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the nose. Well, let's be honest. They've taken a big punch in the nose. 1.5 million people killed or wounded. And like Peter Doocy asked today, do you want to redraw the lines, or do you want to have another 100,000, 500,000? He didn't put a number to it, but I will. You want another 1.5 million people killed and wounded? I mean, Ukraine's not a big country. It only has so much to give. And it's a terrible price that they're paying for a war that's going nowhere. It's been basically at this standstill, grinding back and forth, almost akin to trench warfare. And it's just damn sad. And so I give a lot of credit. I listen and I hear these people on the left screaming, well, Donald Trump, you know, is meeting with Putin. He's his puppet. Well, they didn't say that when George W. Bush met with Putin, or when Barack Obama met with Putin, or Hillary Clinton met with Putin and did all these different things. It's only when Donald Trump meets with him that it's a problem. And the problem here is Democrats know this. If Donald Trump is able to help facilitate an end to this war, and I pray that he can, he's a shoo-in for the Nobel Peace Prize. You can't deny it at that point. You can't. If he's able to facilitate a peace here, you cannot deny it. And if you do deny it, then you know that it's all garbage and nonsense, and it's a meaningless award. I mean, Barack Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping exactly 0 wars, from what I recall. Donald Trump, I think this will be number 7 or 8. I lose count. I mean, he's bringing peace at a fevered pace around the world. It's remarkable to watch. It really is. And I go back to what I said to Jack. I don't think you get out of this without redrawing the lines. I think Peter Doocy was right on the question. I think that the Donbass is probably lost. And look, I get it. People do not want to reward Vladimir Putin for his behavior, for his aggression. I get it. But there's no way around it. You're not getting Crimea back. You've got, let me see here. You got the Sevastopol naval base there, the Baklava submarine base, the Vardisk military airfield. All of those things have been reinforced and upgraded since Russia took that piece of real estate in 2012. So, look, this is where we are. We can either stop the war and cede some territory one way or the other, at least Crimea at a minimum, because it's been gone for 13 years, or this meat grinder can continue for another year or 2 or 3. Nobody wants that. And how this plays out, by the way, also has the attention of Xi Jinping in Beijing. There's no question. This is an important outcome for what happens next on the world stage. What does China see out of this? These are all important questions. I think that Donald Trump has projected himself of American strength and diplomacy and leadership. And again, I pray that we can get something done here today.